Well, it's time for yet another night of racing, but tonight it will be a very short night of racing. Hello and welcome one and all to LSRTV and to a brand new season of a league making their debut here on LSRTV, the Racers Racing iRacing, or the RRI. I'm Nolan Rempel, and joining me here at the virtual Sebring International Raceway is none other than Charles Wooten. Two classes are getting set to go racing tonight. You've got the TA1 class featuring the Chevrolet Corvette C6.R GT1 and the TA2 class featuring the very well-known Cadillac CTS-V. Very short race today, Charles. 20-minute qualifying about to get underway here shortly, and then what's going to be just a 20-minute race. So we're likely not going to see this race lasting for much longer than, well, 10 laps or so.
Yeah, I'm used to, short races, 10-lap races, but when I see those, I'm used to talking about heat races on dirt. I'm not used to seeing, a 10-lap race here in a track that turns right, frankly. It's not something we've seen all the time. We were talking about that a little bit earlier coming into the night. It has been a long time, and I mean a long time, since we've seen a road race here on LSRTV.
Yes, indeed. A long time since an all-road series has graced us here on LSRTV, and well, it's looking to be a very good one here, frankly, because we've got a lot of stiff competition here tonight, a lot of real-world racing experiences amongst the fields today. I mean, you've got Trans Am 2 championships, you've got full-on Trans Am 1 champions here, you got the defending Trans Am champion as well, you got established IMSA racers, even those guys that have raced in the prototype divisions. I mean, you look at Garrett Maines, one of the drivers that's actually the top of the practice charts for now. He's currently on an 11 race win streak right now, IRL. So it's going to be a very fierce race tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be big as we're looking at the times here in the practice. A minute 55, the fastest, and that's a minute 55.5. The next time behind them is going to be a minute 55.911. So even then, there's a little bit of a gap between these top drivers. Of course, we've mentioned it prior to the race, and we'll mention it now, that there are two different classes here. So we'll have an overall winner as well as a Cadillac winner and a Corvette winner, or a TA1 and a TA2 winner. Corvettes marked with a yellow stripe next to their position, and of course the Cadillacs with a baby blue stripe on there. Going to be a little bit slower than the Corvettes, so it'll be interesting to see if one of them can maybe pull out a win here if something happens to the Corvettes.
Well, it certainly would take a pretty big mess for those Corvettes to be knocked out of contention. Right now, it's about it's really about 4 seconds separated first place of the Cadillacs and last place of the Corvettes. The head Cadillac with a 2:02.099, so they have not been able to break into that 1 minute bracket just yet. So well, we'll have to see if the times will start coming down. Of course, track is cooling significantly. It's currently about 4:45 p.m. local in-sim time. Track currently sitting at about 84 degrees. It was up to 92 at the start of the at the start of the practice session about an hour ago, and only 7 degrees Fahrenheit in the air. So it's probably not going to go down by a whole lot. Granted, there's not a lot of time for it to go down, but still, it is going to be getting a little bit lower, so we could see those times start to come down later on in both qualifying and the race.
Yeah, so we're monitoring them right now. It'll be interesting to see how they do progress. Again, sitting right now at 84 degrees and 70 degrees, 6 mile-per-hour winds. Of course, not to freak anyone out if it says May 15th, 2020. That is in sim time. That is not the actual date here in the United States. We did not just make time reality or time warp there. That is in sim time, what it would be here at Sebring. And when we are going to do that research to see the last time we've done a road course, is now we have two different series that we're going to be doing here just this week. I have to point out here just for a moment that this logo for this group is one of the coolest logos I think I've seen here on iRacing in quite some time. You can blatantly see it's an RRI, but they make it look like a road course. It looks really cool.
It certainly looks cool, and it just goes to show you, well, how much of, well, let's put it this way. If a logo looks cool, usually the racing is going to look pretty darn awesome as well. That's been, it certainly has been the trend throughout my 2-year career here in the commentary chair right now. So certainly looking forward to seeing what kind of a show these guys give tonight. I will say there have been quite a few incidents as it is in just this practice session, and that is due to in part that these two cars, they're far from the easiest cars to drive. I can't say a whole lot about CTSV, haven't driven it myself in, well, at least probably about a year or so. But the Corvettes, well, I actually drove those just earlier today, so I can attest to those. Not easy cars at all. They don't have a lot of traction control. They got no stability control. They've got no anti-brake system. We've seen a lot of drivers that have been locking up those tires going down to the sharper corners. Cars running over other cars. It's going to be a very difficult race with just those Corvettes alone. Because when you're in a car like that, you're really almost half fighting the car yourself. And on a track like Sebring, it's going to be a really difficult race, especially for the Corvettes, where they're having to spend half the time fighting the car and the other time fighting the track.
Yes, we saw one of them just go off a track. That is going to be Garrett Maines that went off track. You know, we're going to attempt to do this, so hopefully we can catch him on track anyway. As we'll go over to someone on track. That is Chris Deshawn that's on track right now. Let's go on board with him real fast if we can to that rollbar camera. And as I pick a driver, he's spinning around on the track. That is about my luck here. Let's go with our league owner here, Lawrence Leshak. Right now, he is on track, and just kind of get a feel for what it's like to go around this place.
Lawrence Leshak currently running second place in the Cadillac category. He is actually just now approaching the Bishop Bend, so he's just entering the third sector of the racetrack. You can see one of the Corvettes just up the road there. This particular section here, it's very flow-based as he throws it right through the Genda B and bends. So very much a rhythm track is Sebring. It's got a lot of bumps on it that you got to watch out for. He's out to the Le Mans curve and onto the Ullman Straight, which this is actually the longest straight you will see on the track here. Definitely one of the best overtaking opportunities is into the Sunset Bend. Now the Sunset Bend, it's really almost a tri-apex corner. You got one apex right there. He's going to swing it out wide and cut it in for a second apex, and then might have to come in for a bit of a third one there right at the cone prior to the pit entry before he thunders out back down onto the pit straightaway to kick off yet another lap. But now we're going to see one of the most unique corners, and it's actually a very long and sweeping turn one, as you'll see a bit of a dab of the brakes and then dives it on in, clips that apex and runs it out wide. But there you can see that track narrows up in a hurry of a turn number one.
Yeah, it does right there. Looking about 50 to 60 miles an hour going through these corners. We'll see on that straightaway they were doing a lot faster than that. So we're going to see a lot of different speeds here. Of course, around a minute 50 to 2 minutes and 9 seconds is what we're seeing for lap times here. So a big difference in these lap times, as obviously he's going to have to check up the brakes just a little bit more as he's got the 69 machine in front of him. So he's going to have to slow down as we got the little dashboard cam on there. In fourth gear right now, I'm curious how low he'll go on gears. I didn't look earlier. He's going to drop it down to fourth, third. It looks like we are going to go to third. It doesn't look like we're going to take into second gear here at all tonight.
Doesn't look like it'll be down in the second gear. No, sorry, apart from maybe down to the hairpin corner. And oh, well, hello, Mr. Mike Tracy, the 69, having some issues running wide off the track. I should note that, well, Daniel Leonard, third place in the Corvettes, has actually been stuck behind Leshak for a considerable time. He's been running behind him really this entire lap in the number 26 tied Corvette and just has not been able to find a way through. But well, at this point, we've run for an entire onboard lap with that number 5 Cadillac. And I think at this point, Leonard's going to be eager to try to find a way through as Leshak continues to try to close in the gap to Zach Driver and maybe, just maybe, try to pick up another lap. He's actually getting a bit of a bump draft there from that Corvette right behind him.
He is indeed. So we go to the back bumper of that number 5 machine, and you'll see right there he'll make the pass. But again, just showing you a lap around Sebring here, as looks like we're going to have somebody spinning into the pits there. But we still have about a little under 5 minutes left here in practice. Notably here, this is new to me, having to see practice, qualifying, and the racing. Qualifying going to be 20 minutes long. it is open to qual, so everyone will be on the track. That's not all that new, but the race only going to be 20 minutes as well. So qualifying in the race the same distance, which we established will be probably about 10 laps.
About 10 laps there, or maybe 11, 12 if we're getting really lucky. Well, with less than 5 minutes left to go here in practice before that 20-minute qualifying session gets underway. We're going to continue to wait for practice to wrap on up here. While we wait, well, just a quick word here from ET Reman, the main sponsor here of the RRI.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Well, just 3 minutes left to go now here in practice at Sebring International Raceway for what will be the season opener here for the Racers Racing iRacing League here on the service, the virtual Sebring International Raceway. So it's going to be a very good one. Lap times are currently looking at about a 1:55.2 for your current leader here on practice. 2 minutes for your your Cadillac class leader of the night.
Yeah, and I'm just getting here that's reading in on social media that Loshak actually dominated his last TA race, led flag to flag. You know, hearing that, I definitely agree. I expect good things from him here. You know, it's awesome. We're glad to be partnering up with, you know, new series all the time. We're always looking to bring on, you know, new leagues, new series. As right now, things are huge. Well, of course, we're picking up some road series. We've got US MTS here, ASCS starting this week. Lucas Oil late models, we're helping produce that. Some stuff in the works that we can't mention yet. So a lot of big things in here. Of course, you know, we've been told sometimes, you know, some people like to say we're a little pricey, but you get what you pay for. You get great camera work, 2 announcers. It's well worth it. That's, of course, why we're here doing what we do, as we have about a minute and a half left to go. Nolan, there is one more thing we got to plug in here, and that, of course, is how to get into iRacing if you want to join these guys. And how do you do it?
Well, it's quite simple. You go to this website called iRacing.com, and you sign up with a little subscription. That could be for, I think, about a week, could be a month, could be 6 months, could be a year, up to 2 years. And, of course, it is, I believe, 40% off for all subscriptions for new members. So if you're not on iRacing yet, do come on over, join us, and, join us in the fun, and who knows, maybe you'll find yourself on track in one of our broadcasts one of these days. Of course, definitely a community that is growing every single day, and well, we would be happy to have you with us.
We definitely would be glad to have you. You never know, we'll be calling your name one of these days. Come on here. Of course, lots of ways to get in, get you some cars, some tracks, and you can get a wheel and pedals for roughly $100 to $200. You don't need anything fancy, although if you just like to spend money, you can definitely get you an expensive rig costing in the thousands. Get you a decent computer. Anything from Best Buy pretty much will run it, as long as you know, you can get around $600-700 computer. You could probably run it with decent settings. And speaking of decent, we are just about out of time, and we are there for practice. Of course, that means qualifying is coming up next. 20 minutes of qualifying we'll see. It is open, so they're going to take as many laps as they need. But again, if you go out, complete half a lap, 3/4 of a lap, and have to restart, you're not going to get as many laps as you would like to. So it's going to be interesting to see how all of these drivers do, as we already have them coming out of the pits and onto the track, and a big herd of them trying to funnel through that little tiny exit for pit road.
Chris DeShong is the first driver on track, currently just through turn 2 and now on the brakes for turn number 3. Like I said, a big gaggle of cars, though. Well, some Corvettes trying to duck around some Cadillacs. It's going to be 3 Corvettes that will lead the charge. The first Cadillac on track is, well, none other than Lawrence Loshak himself. So, going to be looking for strong performances from him tonight. And, well, it looks like those Corvettes wanted to get on front. They wanted to beat the traffic out, because if you catch lap traffic on a qualifying lap, well, it does, let's just say this, it certainly does not help you when you're trying to go for a fast time. I'm curious to see if we'll see any kind of drafting help, because of course drafting is going to be quite crucial when you're on both the pit straight and the Ullman straight right before the Sunset Bend, the 2 longest straights of the track, the 2 places where the draft can really play into heavy. I wouldn't be surprised if we could see maybe some potential help being given from one driver to another, trying to get those faster times in.
Yeah, I'm looking here and, looking at the timing screen. Of course, everybody is on their out lap here at the moment, so we do have the sidebar on, but it only shows times once they come in, and at this point, nobody has completed a time. And looking to see, it looks like the first time we're going to get, I do believe, is going to be somewhere around Zach Driver or James Prosteel. Is, I believe those two are going to be one of the first ones. And I say correct, you were right earlier. Chris DeShong going to be the first one, as he is about 75 to 80% done with his lap.
Well, indeed he is, and don't forget, these drivers do have that one out lap that they're going to need to complete as well. So drivers currently not on there flying last. Donnie Leonard just coming around in that 26 time machine, taking the green flag. He is now on his first qualifying lap of the night. So looking to be getting things all safe and steady for quite a few drivers here, as we continue to let those times start to hopefully come on down. Leonard through the first corner, and now he's on the brakes for his very first qualifying lap. And, well, in just about a minute and a half or so, we'll be getting to see what we're going to be looking at for those times.
Yeah, times are going to be coming in shortly. Again, these are all times that will take a long time to get in. It's going to be interesting to see how they all stack up. We saw some pretty good times during practice, but that doesn't mean they're going to get those. If they came out here and ran like that minute 55 early, it doesn't mean they're going to be able to do that here in practice with traffic out on the track with them.
Indeed, indeed. So, well, it's one of those things we're going to have to wait and see what's going to take place. Daniel Leonard does have one Corvette on the horizon. It is Jacob Williams, who might actually slow this lap up. So Williams now might be looking to play a bit of spoiler here. Immediately gets out of the way, but that might have just held up Leonard that little bit on that flying lap. Not what he would have wanted to see at all in that number 26. He's just now through the final flowing section of the track, and he's getting ready for what will be a blast down the Ullman straight before the Sunset Bend to kick off the first flying lap of the night.
Yeah, we already have one going off track. That is going to be Michael Peters in that number 95 Cadillac, as he goes off track, and that will invalidate the lap. So he's going to stay on track and continue. But again, you really don't want to reset, as that's going to take more time to have to reset and then can start again. So he's going to go off track again. He may be having some issues because that car just drives right through the corner.
Indeed it does, and well, first time is up in the air for Donnie Leonard, a 1:57.538. Notable, that is 1.4 seconds slower than his fastest practice lap. The first time also in for the Cadillacs, Lawrence Loshak currently on provisional pole there with a 2-minute 1:522. That is 4/10 faster than the previous lap. He's not going to let it go for that second flying lap. He's going to actually pull it off here just off of turn 1.
Then right behind him, or still behind him, but down a position, is going to be Raymond Lopez right now with a 203.190. Jacob Clark, another Corvette in the number 28 machine with a 159.75. So, you know, again, we expected the Corvettes to be faster, and that's how it's going to go. I'm curious to see if these Corvettes possibly may catch to the back of the field here in this race. Being only 20 minutes, I don't see it being too big of an issue. But if we have a couple of the cars tangle up, get in wrecks, and get way back in the field, we possibly could see these Corvettes actually catch the Cadillacs. And that could make it a very interesting battle for the overall win and, of course, the win between the Corvettes here tonight.
Theodore Burns just had a lap invalidated. He actually took a little bit of a spin in the number 81 Corvette. So, well, bad news for him. He already had the last lap invalidated for Burns, and he's going to have this one invalidated as well. He was on the brakes trying to get around Ramon Lopez, and unfortunately just looped it around all in the zone. That's one of the challenges of the Corvette, and the fact that it really does not like to turn. It doesn't like certain movements under braking. Oh, we've actually had another incident further up the track, and it looks like this was actually caused by two different Corvettes. In fact, it was Jacob Williams had a spin of his own, again loose under braking, but this one collected Brian French, so 2 laps invalidated in one incident there.
Yeah, that is not good. You do not want to get those invalidated laps. Again, it takes you so long to get around this track as it is that you want to have a clean lap, and as many of them as you can. Ideally, you want to try to get you know, multiple laps in a row to kind of build that momentum, build that rhythm. Your out lap is always going to be a little rougher. You know, you're getting used to the course. So the more momentum you can build up, the better your laps are going to be, just because you're used to running it. You're getting your groove on, whatever you want to call it. So, you know, to have incident after incident is definitely not good for that momentum flow.
Well, the good news is that they do have a considerable bit of time still, just crossing the 7-minute mark, and well, 13 minutes left to go now in qualifying. A 1:57.070 for the pole position on Donnie Leonard for now. Jacob Clark, the only other Corvette to successfully get a time so far with a 58.775. So that's a good 1.7 seconds down from first to second. And of course, you got Loshak still up pole in your Cadillac class. Mark Miller, less than a second off of him, but still 3/10. So some margin here.
Yeah, some margin is Miller's going to shut it down. We go over to Roger Eagleton, and we got a couple of cars off a track and trying to figure out who it is. That is going to be Jacob Williams again in that Corvette. This is his 4th time off track. So we're able to keep track of that. Very few drivers have been off track more than that, and of course one of those is going to be Michael Peters, who's been off 7 times, and of course Jesse who has been off 2, and that is again Jesse Prather, who has been off 6 times.
Well, that's it's really part of the hazard, shall we say, of multi-class qualifying is exactly that. It is very, very difficult as well. Jacob Williams looping it around again, and he's going to bring that one right back to the pits. So a lot of the cars really, really struggling, notably the Corvettes. Only 3 drivers as, well, Garrett Maines, he's gone top of the charts just now with a 55.521. So Maines, who again, like we mentioned earlier, is on an 11-win streak, IRL, he is currently now provisional pole for your Corvette or your TA1 field.
Yeah, so it makes you wonder if real life is considered IRL. Is this ERL?
Huh, that's a very good question, actually.
I mean, you think about it, this is a sim. It's meant to mimic the real deal. So if that is in real life, well, this must be electronical real life. Yeah, that stands to reason. I like it.
I'll give you that one. Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. So Maines, well, looking to kick things off strong here clearly as he's clattering over those curbs and still throwing his way around the circuit. This is, I'll tell you what, this has been a pretty interesting qualifying session so far. Still got, we were looking at about 25 cars looking to take the grid, and only 14 of them have set times. A good portion again, it is worth mentioning, are on their more than first lap tonight, but they've just had those lap times invalidated for various reasons, one way or another. So it's just really unfortunate. And while one driver that is still struggling is Michael Peters, who's just having to bail out of another lap due to Chris DeShong trying to throttle his way through. DeShong also hasn't set a lap, and he's also looking to get one set. He's on his 4th flyer now.
Yeah, he is, and as you were mentioning, that driver going off, Jacob Williams also went off track again, and somebody back there in a yellow Corvette's going off track. It's been a trend here in practice already to see a couple of drivers going off, as one more does, and that is going to be Roger Eagleton. He already has a lap set, and it is a 2-minute 3-second lap in a Cadillac, so not a horrible time for that Cadillac. So he's sitting pretty good right now with a time set. With 20-minute race here coming up in roughly about 9 minutes. One thing we didn't clarify with the race control is pit stops. However, 20-minute race, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think we're going to run this thing straight through.
Well, that would certainly be expected. The only way they wouldn't be able to run straight through is if the fuel tanks were limited. And, well, are the fuel tanks limited? We'll have to wait and see. Oh, man, Jacob Williams having another slide over in turn number 1 this time. So Williams, it's just all going wrong for his qualifying here, which is, it's really such a shame. He was a 1:57.2 for his fastest practice lap, so significantly off the pace. Yes, and in fact, he was actually, well, I hate to say it, one of the slowest Corvettes there was, but he's struggling more than a lot of the others tonight.
And it makes you wonder here is we'll pull up that weather for you real fast and see not much has changed. The track temp's still 84 degrees. However, your air temp has lowered 1 degree from 70 to 69. So not much has changed. It's still partly cloudy out there above this track. So, you would hope maybe if something was going on and the car wasn't handling, maybe it was a track issue, clouds went away, got hot, whatever. But that's not the case here right now. It's just the driver possibly behind the wheel just having some issues. I'm feeling he'll get it together here race time. We've seen this many times in practice and qualifying. These guys try to push things a little bit further than maybe they can, just to see where that limit is. He could be doing that right now. Come race time, he'll get into his race mode and hang on to it.
Well, we've just had a bit of a scary incident for sure. Chris DeShong having a very close call with Michael Peters, who was on a flying lap. Peters was looking right to get around Raul Eli, who was slow, and didn't see that DeShong was flying up on him. That sent the 41 car into a spin because, well, DeShong had to go into the grass to try to get around this whole thing. So it's, again, one of those casualties of multi-class lapping. You got to make sure that, you're aware of your surroundings at all times, no matter if you think you're alone or not.
Yeah, you really do have to be, situational awareness. You got to know who's around you, what you're around, or where you're at on the track, and it makes it hard. And speaking of the track here, if we can pull this up really quicker, if we can find it. I'm not even sure if we have it handy at the moment, so give us just a moment to see if we do. And we seem to have misplaced it. I don't know where our track map went. I'm not sure how I can just possibly lose it, but we'll try to find that and get it up there. We can kind of show where these guys are on the track. So what we've seen here, Nolan, what do you think the toughest corners are going to be for these drivers here in the race?
I can tell you right now, turn 1 is going to be a really, really big one, and that is because of how bumpy it is. Sunset Bend is also going to be very crucial because of the transitioning from asphalt to concrete and then back to asphalt. So that's going to be a very crucial one as well. Also, don't discount both the Cunningham corner, which we've seen a couple incidents there already, and the Gendabien Bend through Le Mans Curve. We've seen a few incidents in there as well. So it's a very tricky track, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw quite a few incidents catching drivers out all throughout this race.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it looks like we have found the track map there, so let's pull it up there. Again, this is based on just on their car number right now. As we don't really have positions, we can see those on the left-hand side of your screen. But there's your track map, and you can see all the corners here. There is a lot of them. And really only 2 places are you really going to get, or sorry, 3, I would say, are you really going to get a lot of speed. You're going to get it on that front stretch, maybe a little bit around that first corner after the front stretch, and coming out to where you see the number 7 car down there. You might get a little bit of the speed back where you see the 34 and the 95, but you know, you're going to be on the brakes a lot here. You're going to be on the gas a lot. So a 20-minute race is still going to be, you know, quite a bit of a workout.
A 20-minute race, it is going to be a pretty big workout, especially with cars that, well, we've discussed this already, we've seen it in full force, are not going to be entirely willing to work with each other. Less than 5 minutes now left in qualifying, so this is, I think, where we can see a lot of the times starting to at least attempt to come down. This is where we can expect more mistakes to be made, and the drivers that have not yet qualified, well, they're going to have to really start to step on it if they want to hope to get a lap in, and maybe start a bit further up in the field than amongst the drivers that are not going to be getting those laps in.
Yeah, definitely going to be an interesting year race. Again, like you said, about 4 minutes left to go. Most everybody, I think, that's going to put in the time has done so. You know, and I'll say that has done a valid lap. We'll go with that. As we look here to Chris DeShong, who currently has actually completed going on his 6th lap so far, but not one of them has been a valid lap. And we talked about the race only going to be about 10 laps. So he's definitely got to get in a good time here and get a valid lap in, because you do not want to start towards the back. Especially the way this is going to work is he puts in a time there, and that's going to put him in 5th position. That is big, because he did not want to start behind these Cadillacs here tonight.
Oh, absolutely not. I think that's one thing that's worth noting as well, is that, you know, these they don't grid them separately by class. They're all shoved together into one large grid. So Ethan Wilson, the only Corvette driver to not set a lap yet, he might be starting behind all of these Cadillacs if he can't get a time in there. So it's good that Chris DeShong managed to finally get that lap in with a 57.613. He's going to have to improve, though, by almost a quarter of a second if he wants to catch Brian French and put himself into the top 2 rows.
Yeah, he does. As of course, we'll pull up there on to the Fango Fest. We will take out the times and let's show those car logos. As expected, right now you see all but one of the Corvettes up top, of course indicated by the yellow stripe. Blue stripes are going to be the Cadillacs from 8th place on down. No surprise there. If we saw a Cadillac above a Corvette here in qualifying, we would know something was seriously wrong with the Corvette setup here tonight, as that probably not going to happen. They have quite a bit more power.
Oh, absolutely, it's not going to happen for sure. I mean, you got, like, the laps are looking 3-4 seconds a lap faster from the slowest of the Corvettes to the fastest of the Cadillacs. Loshak's lead, though, over the Cadillacs is beginning to dwindle because Mark Miller has put in a 2:01.973 compared to Loshak's 2:01.522. That's less than half a second separated them, so that gap again starting to come down. Miller starting to get that hammer down, trying to find something to make work for himself, maybe here to get himself into pole position for the Cadillac field.
Yeah, you definitely want to get yourself in a good position with just about a minute and a half left here in qualifying before that 20-minute race. I think it's as good a time as any for the ones that are just tuning in here to step aside for a quick word from the sponsors that are making all of this happen. So we're going to step aside here for just a minute. We'll hear from the league sponsor, of course, ETE Reman. So we'll be right back after a quick word from the sponsor.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Well, checker flag out on qualifying here at Sebring International Raceway. Mark Miller going to be the first driver to finish their lap up. These drivers do get an extra 2 minutes and 45 seconds, enough time to get that lap complete. Can Miller improve and go for pole position? He can! 2:01.388. Mark Miller, provisional pole now for your Cadillac field. It's going to be Brian French from the Corvette field to try to get this first. This is where we got to look big here, Charles, because this is where we're going to really see those times starting to come down. Unfortunately, French not able to improve on his position. He'll be starting 4th place for now down at the Corvette field. Williams, he's going to try to improve. It was a 1:57.908 last time by. What will it be this time? A 59.775. So not enough for him either. Philip Temple's 3rd place. He'll be looking to definitely improve on his lap, though.
Yeah, will definitely be looking to improve. Currently in a 10th position. I don't think he's going to do it. However, Theodore Burns does jump to a 2nd position.
Theodore Burns up to 2nd place, but what's notable here, still 1.4 seconds off of Garrett Maines. So Garrett Maines has definitely clinched that pole lap, and I think we can be expecting a flag-to-flag performance here from that number 18 machine. He's been absolutely strong, but what a lap there from Mark Miller to clinch and just absolutely steal pole position away from Lawrence Loshak. Loshak had held that pole position for the Cadillacs from qualifying ever since the green flag dropped for the session, and he got that snatched away from him after the checkered flag threw. He wasn't even on track, so he had no chance to try to take it back. What a lap from the number 22.
Yeah, and the 32 of Jacob Williams still out on track. Again, as you mentioned, they have a last-ditch effort to put in the last lap they can. If they started the lap before time expired, they are allowed to do it. That's how the race will be as well. When that 20-minute mark is up, they will finish the lap they are on. Which means if we hit 20-minute mark and they just started, they just crossed the line, 20-minute hit, that will be it. We will see the checkered flag next time, so that is how time races work. There are no laps scored, it's all time.
Indeed it is. So it's going to be one of those matters as, well, who will be able to hold on for those 20 minutes? And at this point, it's looking like Maines will definitely be able to get that win if he can pull away with it. As, well, there you can see one of those drivers just now crossed over the line. I think that was Jacob Williams. It was a 1:59.775. So unfortunately not enough to improve for them. But qualifying is now officially over. We're rolling things over to the race session. I think it's time for your starting grid.
It is indeed a time for the starting grid. We'll pop it up on the screen. Nolan, you want to run through it for us?
I can indeed. So starting on pole position, both overall and in the TA1 class, it is, of course, Garrett Maines by a whopping 1.37 seconds. Theodore Burns rounds off row number 2. Donnie Leonard and Brian French round off row number 2 with Chris DeShong in 5th. Jacob Williams in 6th. Jacob Clark in 7th. There is one more Corvette, Ethan Wilson. 8th place for the Corvette, starting 22nd overall. Sorry, 20. Actually, he's starting a good 26th place overall. Pole position for the Cadillacs, it is going to be Mark A. Miller with Lawrence Loshak started in 2nd. Philip Temples in 3rd. Ramon Lopez 4th. Roger Eagleton in 5th for the Cadillacs. Derek Kulach for he's going to be kicking things off over there in 6th place for the Cadillacs. 7th is going to be Tennyson Hull. Oh my goodness, my time screen is jumping all over the place. Mike Tracy, 15th overall. John Donovan, 16th. Zach Driver, 17th. Raul Eli, 18th overall. Michael Peterson, 19th. Jesse Prather, 20th place. Russ Lundberg, the final qualifying time to be set with good enough for 21st place. And now the drivers that, of course, did not qualify. James Prostel Jr. in 23rd. Austin Evans, 24th. Eric Trill, 25th. Ethan Wilson, like we discussed, in 26th, with Bo Borders in 27th place.
Going to be a strong field here as everybody is getting ready. And one thing we, of course, did not talk about, and we know now because the pace goes out on the track, it is a rolling start. Sometimes you see standing still, sometimes it's rolling. But tonight, they're going to roll behind that Porsche pace car here to start the pace lap.
And, well, I think it's safe to say that it's definitely a factor that, well, rolling starts are not entirely uncommon, especially in multi-class racing. Of course, it's not what you see in some of the lower series. I think the Production Car Challenge, which is an official rookie series on Iron Scene, is a very key example of a multi-class series that does not utilize the rolling starts, but it was almost to be expected for a race like this. And, well, it's a 20-minute race, and I'm definitely going to be excited to see what they've got in store for us as we just now have to wait for mains to follow that Porsche pace car around this circuit.
Yeah, no, you know, one thing I like cool about these Corvettes as we're getting ready to take the green here momentarily is, you know, they're signified by the yellow stripe on the scoring, and they have yellow headlights, and we may see those headlights some point tonight. They have the ability to flash them and tell, you know, a slower car that they're behind them. I don't think we're going to use it. We have the ability, but I just don't think we're going to see it here tonight. The only way I think we're going to see it is if we maybe see one of these Corvettes possibly, you know, spin out, get off track, and get stuck behind one of the Cadillacs. Then we could see those lights being flashed, letting them know, hey, I'm a faster car, I'm coming through. But it definitely will be interesting here. As we mentioned before, maybe one of our media people there can kind of sift through the old races. But it has been, I would say, at least a year probably since we've had a road course here on LSRTV. They're back, and I'm glad to see it again.
Well, Garrett Main's having a bit of a scary moment under the pace line. Actually got the car shot sideways and nearly cleaned out Theodore Burns. That would certainly have been an embarrassing way to start the season off. Imagine that. It was like, how did your first crash occur this season? Oh, I wiped out on the pace lap and I took out the other front row runner with me. That would be a story for the ages, but just about finished here around this 6-kilometer circuit, 3.74 miles. We're ready to rumble.
We are ready to rumble, and we'll see how the start goes. Again, it's going to be different. You have two different cars here, and I want to note that we have several drivers not starting here, from only about 18 starting out of the 26 that were scheduled.
Only 18 drivers there about to take the grid, but we're ready to get things underway with what we've got. Garrett Maines, it's in the hands of him. The green flag is in the air. We are racing and already going 3 wide behind them as Mark Miller tries to pick up the spots.
Yeah, 3 wide. Not used to seeing this many cars going for one spot. We're going to do it here.
Miller gets turned over in turn number 1. The class leader of the Cadillacs getting dumped in just the first corner by Lawrence Loshak, with the driver who we stole first place from trying to go for positions, but in doing so, Loshak has lost a bunch of spots as well. And more trouble up front as well. In fact, 3-car pile up over there in turn number 5. Jacob Clark is among them. He actually ran to the back of Chris Deschamps, and Jacob Williams was left with nowhere to go.
And we don't have cautions here. However, we can go back and look. We'll go back to Jacob Clark here and see what had happened. Indeed, there's that one, and now we'll go to this one right here. As you see them going off track after getting into each other. 3 Corvettes involved in that incident as we go back to live and go back to the front. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This is going to be the one time we're going to see these Corvettes behind if something happened to them. The front 4 Corvettes really spread out, but you go back here to look at Jacob Williams. He is sucked right now behind behind two Cadillacs of Eli and Miller.
There was some more trouble just after that incident as well here. Roger Eagleton and Ramon Lopez made contact, and actually the hairpin turn. Lopez had tried to cover across Eagleton, and well, they both got into each other and just completely wrecked each other. Both drivers well down the order now, so lots of trouble here in the early stages. It's definitely been a very calamity-filled start, shall we say, and all this has allowed Garrett Maines to pull a very large gap. The closest battle now is going to be for that lead in the Cadillac class. Philip Temples now trying to hold off Lawrence Loshak, who's going to look up the inside into the Sunset Bend to the number 5. Can he get the move secure? Will Temples try to go for the switchback? Might try for that over-under, but not able to get the speed to get it done.
He's not. We go on the board, of course, with Temples here, as he's going to drag race down the bottom. And again, this track is wide enough. It's not like a dirt track where we're used to covering, where you can't really do that too much. You can do that. He is right there with them, as we'll go up to Lawrence here, and let's go to his gearbox, and you can see just how close they are together right now, separated by 0.3. Not a lot of time, and right there he gets a huge run. So Temple's not out of this fight by any means yet.
Oh, absolutely not. Certainly not out of the fight yet. Loshak still trying to fend off Philip Temples. And it is notable, this is for second place in class. Loshak is trying to run down Derek Kulach, who managed to actually pick up the class lead in the Cadillacs from all the calamity that happened on lap number 1. About 4 incidents thereabouts on just the first lap alone. So, well, Loshak, it's definitely been not the cleanest start for him. He's already down 1 spot from where he qualified. So he's going to be definitely trying to run down Kulach, who is up 3 from where he started earlier on today.
Yeah, and quickly to take a look here, as we're watching this, we're going to take a look back here to Jacob Williams, who went off track. This was just moments ago, as he goes into the corner and just overshoots it there. That is not where the incident actually happened, though, as we're actually showing him as crashing. So it's probably coming up here in just a moment, but trouble still continue for Williams, as he had trouble in practice and qualifying as well.
And Williams definitely had he's having his fair share of struggles, shall we say, in qualifying and practice. It definitely has not gone his way today. So, well, it's a bit of a shame for him. He's going to have to try to find something to make work, though, to maybe salvage whatever he can from this race and continue to make up those spots. And it does look like Loshak beginning to pull away here from Philip Temples, as Williams now completed the pass on Tennyson Hull, and now he is going to be trying to run down Mark Miller and Zach Driver.
Yeah, we got lots of battles. Really the battles are going on for the Cadillac, not so much for the Corvettes. They've kind of spread out, and I'm not going to be surprised by this because, looks like somebody getting really sideways. I think that's Zach Driver that is, that's getting a little sideways going into the corner. But, I've watched enough racing here on iRacing and in real life to know that just because they're a slower car doesn't mean they don't put on a good battle. You look at the street stocks on dirt, they put on a good battle, as we're seeing that here. We go to Jacob Williams. Actually, let's go to Zach Driver as he goes off track.
As Zach Driver way overshot that braking point, braked about 50 yards too late, and if he didn't go straight on, he would have actually cleaned out Mark Miller, what would have been Miller's second incident of the night, and that's allowed a free spot for Williams and Hull as well. So, my goodness, well, the incidents just certainly seem to just keep on coming. It's just a never-ending vicious cycle at this point.
And it is a vicious cycle as we go up to position number 6 right now, 6 and 7. Of course, that is going to be, it is 5th and 6th, as we have a 3-car battle here for 5th position, and of course that is for the lead for the Cadillac class, or the T2A class.
It is for the lead in the Cadillac class. Loshak got the inside after Kulach had an absolutely devastating turn. They're going to be side by side into the final corner, Sunset Bend. Philip Temple's right behind, might try to capitalize as well. Kulach tried to cover back. He actually might try to go for the lead here as well. Temples, if he can get the draft on, getting back and stepped out a little bit on the exit of the corner, but down the pit straight, Temples will definitely have the draft down this pit straight. The question will he be close enough to make the move down in turn number 1? The answer is going to be a no siree, no dice just yet, as it is going to be Loshak taking a much tighter line, but he's back up into the TA2 lead, which is exactly where Loshak wants to be. That battle for second, far from over.
It is very far from over. And checking in here, we are 6, almost 7 minutes into this race, only 4 laps in. You know, it's crazy to see such a high time in so few laps. It's like a caution field heat race here, but there's not the cautions. It's a road race. That's the difference, as this battle is huge. And look who's sitting back there behind all these guys. That is Jacob Williams, who had that issue early on. He is stuck behind 3 Corvettes right now, and they are not going to let him by anytime soon. That is a 3-car Cadillac battle going on for the lead, and that Corvette of Williams, he's got his hands full as a spin out.
That was Lawrence Loshak that just got punted out of the lead. So Loshak with another incident again. Philip Temples overshot the braking point and absolutely creamed Lawrence Loshak, and that is bad news for the number 5 and for his race lead today. So, well, that battle came to a very explosive end. Loshak, not a lot of damage on that car. Gonna have some work to do though, as Williams is still trying to fight around Kulach to go for the lead. Kulach managed to again pick up the race lead for the Cadillacs in the midst of all that chaos, as now Mark Miller, he's back up to second out of all this.
Yeah, and Kulach kind of went off, and there goes Kulach around. Sorry, no, that's Temples that goes around, and now the 19 goes around as well.
Philip Temples having a bit of a spin there, but that was actually because Kulach went off, came on, and absolutely got clobbered by Philip Temples. Not sure what Kulach was thinking. It just didn't check to see if he was clear or not. He was definitely not clear to come back onto the racetrack. So Philip Temples not going to be a happy camper with that one at all. So destructive beginnings here for the second season of the RRI.
Yeah, as we go watch the replay right there, you see it. Again, as I believe it's Brandon Kreutzer, one of our announcers, would say Christmas list just got a little bit shorter. I think that's his line. We're giving credit for it anyway. As we go to Garrett Maines, as I noticed he's having a little bit of a connection issue. Hopefully it sorts out, as he's leading overall and leading for the Corvettes here tonight.
He's leading by a good 3.4 seconds right now, and that gap has only been growing since this race began. So Maines, well, he's definitely looking to be in a top position by the end of the race. He's looking to lead flag to flag, as we are already approaching the halfway point in this race. He is going to be approaching lap number 6. So, well, you never know. It might look like we might be in for a 12-lap race here tonight. It's certainly, we would be a little off count on that. I would like to turn our attention down. Never mind, that's not a battle for position, because there's, well, one car that's a lap down and one car that is, well, not a lap down. So a lot of the battles have split up throughout the course of this field now as well. Now with all those incidents, just about everybody's really spread out from one another now.
Yeah, we did have a battle for 9th position between Temples and Eli. Eli didn't really let him by easy, but Temples kind of took it away from him fairly easy anyway. So that battle has sorted itself out. Everyone's spread out now due to all the incidents on the track. So why not? Here we go to Garrett Maines. He's coming. Well, we'll skip that. He's having some connection issues. Go to your second place here, as we can go a lap on board with him here momentarily. Let him finish up this lap before we do, just to see how he's handling here, how smooth he's getting around this track. Then we'll take a lap with a Corvette. They're quite a bit slower, but most of the battles I think have really been with those Cadillacs.
Well, the Cadillacs are, of course, the slower class, but there is a significant amount more of them, so they are going to be the ones that are going to be, well, creating the most battles for us on the track. So it's been the train so far, and it seems like they are actually well, significantly. It almost seems like they've been the ones that have been having a harder time than the Corvettes have, which well, I'll tell you what, it's really surprising to me. Actually, you would have thought that the Corvettes, being the harder car to drive with less driver aids, would be the harder one to control, but well, apparently we're being proved wrong tonight.
Yeah, you know, I don't mind being proved wrong every once in a while, and tonight is one of those nights. As again, this is a new series here for us. They had one race in the book, so we did not, of course, cover that. I believe it was Atlanta they were at, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But of course, what we do know is coming up next week, Virginia International Raceway, followed by Circuit of Americas. I'm looking for that Circuit of Americas, as that is in my home state of Texas. I have never been. I do have an offer to go down there when they come back there. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing it on here, as we may have a good little battle coming in right now for the third position overall and third position for the Corvettes, as Leonard and French right there together right now.
So Brian French has been slowly reeling in that gap to Donnie Leonard, and well, it was 159, 138 last time for Leonard, 156 for French. So I almost feel like Leonard might have had some issues, and that's what caused him to, well, lose all that time. But well, French is not going to be complaining. He's definitely going to be looking to capitalize on that for sure. So that very yellow 21 Corvette going to be looking to scream up to the back of that tied mobile one 26 machine. Couple of pretty good looking paints, I have to say. That 26, it's among my favorites tonight.
That's definitely a nice looking ride. Glad to see it's tied and not Tide Pods. But all jokes aside, he's running a really good race here tonight. And you saw that little incident there in the overlays where all of a sudden there was no gap to the leader that showed Burns as the leader for a moment. That is just because Garrett Main's still having those connection issues here tonight. So far, they haven't completely bit him in the hindquarters. He's been able to keep it stable enough to stay in this race, and you know, not just stay in the race. He has nearly a 5-second gap here with 7 minutes left to go in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, coming up to just about 5 minutes to go and another minute 20 time. So the time is running out for French to try to close that gap. But it's looking like Leonard is beginning to extend that gap back out. As it isn't too much of a surprise, I hate to say it. It looks like Leonard did just have a bit of a troubled lap, and that is what caused him to lose all of that time. But for now, that 26 machine is looking to run away with the final podium position for the overall class and for your Corvettes today. So Leonard, what was the time this time? It was a 155.869, and it was another 156.746. So actually over a second faster there for Leonard on the last lap. So Leonard, I think he's definitely the faster one of the two.
Yeah, we're going to take a look here, take a look and look at their off tracks here tonight. There are very few drivers that have had a completely clean race. Coolidge are going to be one of those in 14th position, as well as Miller and Burns. Those are the only 3 drivers that started this race that have had 0 off tracks. Then you go up to Temples, who's had 6 times he's been off the track, and the average about 2 times off the track. We have a couple with 3 and a couple with 2s and 1s, but I would say roughly the average about 2 times for everybody off the track right now. So with the exception of the clean drivers, everyone going off track just a little bit here tonight.
So a couple drivers looking to be, well, further off the circuit, some more so than others. And, well, it's, again, one of those cases where that's just, it really is just the challenge of Sebring. And I really do think it's hard to think that anybody's had a clean race tonight. It's just been such a... It's been such a destructive race, especially in the opening half, and well, already just 5 minutes left to go, and well, there isn't any further racing to be done tonight. Like, this is it. It's not like there's 2 20-minute races back to back. It's just these 20 minutes, and that's it. We're done for the night. And well, I think Jacob Williams might have just thrown his chance to try to go for another position away entirely. He had a bit of a lockup, went too deep into a corner, didn't go off the track, but he's just lost well over a second worth of time. He was already about 30 seconds seconds back though anyway. So another driver that clearly is still having some struggles would be the number 32, Jacob Williams.
Yeah, definitely struggling here tonight. As we just saw Lopez go by Peters, that was for position in the Cadillacs. But again, Williams having issues here tonight, just not his night when it comes to the race. So he'll round out the Cadillacs here with 4 minutes left to go, 9 laps. So it looks like we're probably going to get about, I would say 11 total laps in is what we're going to get with the time allowed. A very short time of racing here for just 20 minutes. But Garrett Maines, he's not going to complain about it as Williams is bringing that machine down pit road.
So Williams might be throwing in the towel here, that number 32, as he is bringing it down to the lane. So, well, Williams, it was fun having you, buddy. Shame it could not be your night tonight, and hopefully you'll have some better luck in the next one. All the other drivers are staying out, so this is, well, far from a scheduled stop.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we're going to be coming down pit road at all. I will say back here towards the back of the field anyway, Temples and Eagleton, those two were less than a second away from each other. They have since stretched it out. Now it's 0.8 seconds away, so 8/10 separating those two. That is one of the closest battles, and as I speak, I might as well stick foot in mouth insert here. Now we have a battle starting to possibly come into play between Leonard and Burns again, as that is separated by 0.6.
And, well, you'll notice that Leonard is now actually ahead of Burns. That's because Theodore Burns had a bite of snap overs here that he had to correct, one straight on in the corner. Actually went off the circuit, and that allowed Leonard to squeak through by the thinnest of margins, trying to get around him. And that's put Leonard back up in second place, and now Burns are likely going to be trying to run him down. We're coming up to about 2 minutes left to go here in this one. So penultimate lap around the circuit, just 2 to go for these drivers.
And we have the pass on the replay here, so let's go back and take a look. And you see it wasn't super close, and you're about to see what happened. This is Donnie Leonard passing Burns, Theodore Burns, for the overall P2 position. There you see it right there. He goes off and he flashes his lights when he goes by, and that was the issue there, is we have someone off track, and it's going to be Derek Goulash that goes off track.
I think Goulash might have gone off. No, he definitely didn't go off track willingly. He misjudged the braking point again, and that sent him well over the curb. So good thing he kept it out of everybody else. That battle looking to pick on up over second overall. I want to turn our eyes to that. That gap is still closing it. It's closing in a pretty big hurry right now, down to about 0.45, gapping to about 0.6 now. So really about hovering around it. But I think Donnie Leonard might actually be getting a little bit held up here by Chris DeShong. That lap Corvette just ahead of him. So DeShong certainly looking to play spoiler in this battle for second, as that's forced Leonard to back off right into the draft of Theodore Burns.
Yes, we're on board with Theodore Burns right now. Watching this, he's really going to be at 0.5. Now it's going to go back up to 0.6 against 6/10 separating them. If our second place overall and in the Corvettes here, Leonard can catch that lap car, I think this is going to change out a little bit how it plays. The question is, can he catch him? And you know, it's not a matter of does he catch him. He's going to have to. He can't not pass him if he catches him. He's got to keep going. So he's got to be flat out on that gas the remainder of this race.
Quarter of a second now separating second and third. The battle still far from over. Theodore Burns, if he could get a good drive here through these next few corners, he might be set to be perfectly within striking distance down to the Gurney Bend. He's got to keep things secure though through turn 5. This sharper left-hander, he's gotten a bit better, a bit of a snap bite of oversteer there for Donnie Leonard. Will this be close enough for Burns to try to maybe make a dive bomb down into the hairpin? He's gonna make the look for the move. He is gonna be much later on the brakes. Can he get the nose in there though? He can. Burns gonna fight back. They do. Oh, they're gonna make some good contact there. That pushes Leonard off the track and around. And now, hold on, what happened to Garrett Maines? This is a battle for the lead all of a sudden as Burns. He's gonna steal the lead from Maines. What happened here?
It looks like Maines having some issues there as well. He's been having connection issues, of course having maybe an off track there as well. Something going wrong there connection-wise. I have a feeling that played into it, as their Mains is back your race leader, so almost catastrophic failure for Garrett Mains in that 18 machine.
Well, all of a sudden, this battle has just picked up tenfold because this is now a three-way fight for the lead. Here on the last lap of the race, Theodore Burns trying to run him down. This is going to be for the win, keep in mind. Coming up to the final corner, can Burns get close enough to make the dive? He's going to look to the inside, but Main's going to be just a touch later on the brakes. Burns trying to sneak in low. He's going to get the nose in there, but it's not going to be enough to pull him up the corner. Looks like Garrett Mains gonna take the win here at Sebring International Raceway. Theodore Burns gonna be down there in second place with Donnie Landon, unfortunately having to settle for third. But what a fight for the lead. Holy cow, what a finish.
The best battle of the night gonna be after the time expires as we finish the last lap of the race. And lucky for Garrett Mains, he had those connection issues. Something went wrong, and of course then he comes back and gets the win here. So let's go back here if we can pull that up on the replay. This is the replay. This is when the pass was made for the race lead for P1. As there you see him slowed on the track. You know, connection issues playing a problem may have caused him to overshoot a corner in that incident to do it, but he ends up getting the win. And of course that's really all that matters for him here. Is we still have Mark Miller coming. He's officially going to take the checkered flag.
So Mark Miller going to come home, and well, he's going to win things up here for that Cadillac class. So a good win there to kick off the season for Mark Miller, who well, we thought he might not be able to get it after he got wrecked in the first corner on the first lap, but he did manage to come home with this one today, and Lawrence Loshak going to finish that off over in second place. But I did look back and see, and yeah, Mains overshot one of the corners and had a bite of oversteer, had a little bit of a spin of his own, so it nearly cost him the win. And now, as a result of that, instead of it being about 9 seconds from first to second, the top three separated by just half a second. So, whoo boy, final cars are just now coming across the start-finish line here. What a race.
It was indeed a race, and you can see the results on your screen right there. That is overall results, as they're going to go a little wild here. That's your overall results right there. Of course, Main's getting the overall win over everybody else. We of course have your results separating these guys by class. At least I believe we can separate them by class. We're gonna assume we can. We'll look at that anyway. As we do, we have the results for class 1, so we'll get those up onto your screen very quickly, as there they are. Class number 1 gonna be that is not the correct logo in there. We apologize for that, but class number 1 results going to be Mains, Burns, Leonard, French, Williams, Deshaun, Clark, and Wilson are going to be how they go, and we'll bring up class number 2. Again, we apologize for that logo. It should have been replaced, but for some reason it did not get replaced. You want to run through those results here for our second class for our Cadillacs here tonight?
Well, a great finish there for Mark Miller, who managed to fight his way up good in 3 positions to take the victory in his own class tonight. It was going to be Lawrence Loshak for second, and the Cadillacs. Roger Eagleton finished off on the podium step for the Cadillac class. Philip Temples down in 4th. Raul Eli in 5th place. Ramon Lopez in 6th place. Michael Peters in 7th. Tennyson Hull in 8th. Derek Kulach in 9th. Zach Driver 10th. John Donovan in 11th with Russ Lundberg in 12th place. It's going to be Mr. Jesse Prather in 13th place. Eric Priel in 14th. Austin Evans 15th. Bo Borders 16th. James Prostel Jr. in 17th with Mike Tracy rounding out the 18 car, rounding out the field for the night in your Cadillac group.
Definitely a good night of racing. It's not done just quite yet, though. We are going to hop over to, of course, your top 3 drivers here for the post-race show. Give us just a minute. We'll step away, have a quick word from your sponsor for tonight's race, ETE Reman, and we will be right back.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Well, welcome back to the post-race show here for round number 1. Just finished off a very intense final lap here at the Sebring International Raceway for the RRI, and what a way to open the season up as well. So you got a couple drivers that decided to come on down and give us a little bit of a chit-chat, and well, I'm going to kick things off standing in victory lane with Mr. Mark Miller, 5th place overall, but most importantly, 1st place in your Cadillac field. So Mark, very good start to the season for you.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of a surprise. I've been trying to get into an event, and typically this is a little late for me with 3 kids, but we don't typically race at night, but in the daytime at the same time. So it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I got an invite, and I was able to spend about an hour a couple days ago in this CTSV here at Sebring, and knew I wasn't going to be quick enough, so I just nabbed Lawrence's setup and took some fuel out of it and went out and qualified.
Well, you didn't just nab his setup, you also nabbed his pole position after the checker flag. So you managed to take that pole position, and then, well, let's say on a less than optimal start to the race, because as a matter of fact, it was Mr. Loshak himself that, shall we say, got a bit of payback and gave you a little bit of a shot to the bumper over there in turn number 1. And so you less than an optimal start to your race here, Mark. But well, you managed to come through. You still managed to get a good drive off and finish up in first. So was it difficult trying to work your way up through the field to take the victory?
Yeah, I mean, it was. Obviously, the start here at Sebring, it always opens up this big, wide, 5-car wide down the front straightaway. It narrows down, and you really can't get more than 2 cars in there. And the Corvettes, some of the Corvettes got a little slow jump, and Lawrence and I both got good starts, so we kind of inside one of the Corvettes, and I moved down in front of them into one, and I noticed that the guys on the outside, they were going to come down, and Lawrence was going under me, and I was like, oh, okay, we're going to be 4 wide here. Someone's not going to make it, and it was me. So, I recovered pretty quick, and I got through traffic really quick, and I know that lead pack really kind of struggled behind, just fighting around, and I had clean air and was able to get within 3 seconds before they started just kind of making contact, and I almost just inherited the lead and a 3-second lead, and I just wanted to keep 3 or 4 second gap for the remainder half of the race. So it was uneventful from that point. It was kind of boring the last half of the race, but I saw Lawrence was back there. I knew if I made one mistake, it would give him an opportunity to get a little bit of that draft and get back into the fight. So I was pretty happy with how it turned out.
Well, and then before we let you go to celebrate this first-class victory and a great way to start the season off again, before we let you go, though, do you have anybody you'd like to shout out for us here tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank RRI and the series, obviously, iRacing, and during this time, for us, pro racers that don't get a chance to actually smell race fuel and burning rubber and things like that, this gives us a great opportunity to both stay connected to race fans, stay connected to each other as competitors, and it was a great race, and I look forward to doing more. And I love this format. The way this car drives is very similar to the RTA2 cars that I raced last year, and it's just a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll keep it going.
And thank you for joining us today, Mr. Mark Miller, your Cadillac winner, your TA2 class winner for the night. Great way to start the season off again. Once again, congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
And well, gonna roll things on over to Charles Wooten, who is standing by on, well, the second step of that Cadillac podium. He's managed to catch up with Lawrence Loshak, your second place finisher in the TA2 class.
I have indeed caught up with Lawrence here, your second place finisher in the Cadillacs. What a beefy car, I might say. The thing is massive, but it runs around this track smooth. Lawrence, you come up here with second place tonight, just a little bit behind Mark Miller. Overall, a great race. Talk a little bit of just how is it getting around this iconic track of Sebring?
Well, these Cadillacs are pretty awesome, man. They sound great. Just like Mark said, they drive so close to our TA2 cars and Trans Am. That's what we're trying to replicate here in our Trans Amish series. Sebring is kind of a track of its own. The bumps and the character of, Sebring, there's no other track like it. It really requires a lot of patience, and usually that's when I don't do really well because I'm not a really patient race driver. But man, I keep saying I hate that first sector because you got to really be patient. Corner 17, the bumps, man, you think you can get on the gas and you just got to wait. So these Cadillacs are big pigs, big heavy cars, small tires. You don't know if you're going to lose the front tires or the rear tires first. So, I mean, it was exciting, man. It made for great racing. Road Atlanta was great. Sebring was great. And, we got 5 more races left. So this is going to be an awesome championship to the end.
Definitely, it was a great race. Of course, Virginia International Raceway coming up next. What are your thoughts on that particular track? Like it, hate it, love it? What are your thoughts on it, and what do you think your chances are of possibly getting the win there?
Well, I love VIR. You know, I've always loved high-speed S's, you know, tracks like Watkins Glen and VIR. I mean, VIR, there's nothing like it. You know, it's the only track where you actually have a nice straightaway before you approach the high-speed S's. It's going to be really, really tricky with these cars, especially in roller coaster. It's going to be a hell of a race. I know it's a favorite for a lot of drivers, so I think we're going to have even a bigger field. You know, Mark Miller coming. I mean, he's the defending Trans Am TA2 champion. I wasn't surprised when I wasn't able to catch him. My goodness, was he consistent. So trying to reel him in, but hey, man, that's racing. And today we're going to be happy with the second. Got valuable points. We're going to get ready for Virginia.
Valuable points indeed. A solid finish here for you tonight. Anyone on the car you need to thank sponsor-wise? A shout out for getting you here to that solid finish.
Yeah, of course. Got to thank ETE Reman. It's our series sponsor. Also, a great place to order a transmission, or if you ever need help with your car or truck, the largest transmission remanufacturer in the nation. That's ETE Reman. And of course, just have to thank all the first responders, nurses, doctors. I mean, just like Mark said, unbelievable, unprecedented times right now. I'm part of an essential business, going to work every day. I'm thankful for that, but it's so stressful right now. So to be able to come home and to hop on a rig and, you know, to be able to do these races with this great group of guys, it really is a gift from God to be able to just get your mind off. You know, it's unbelievable. For us, I mean, we love racing, right? We love race fuel. So it's just amazing to have a platform like this to race on with your closest friends and rivals. It's great.
Oh, it definitely is good to have you. Good to be here for some road racing. We still are looking to see when the last time we had a road race here on the channel is. We'll get that stats for next week. That being said, I believe no one has caught up with your Corvette winner and overall winner, Garrett Maines, or Mans here tonight. We'll figure out. I believe it's Mans. It looks like Mans. We'll find out the clarification on that here in a minute. Garrett, sorry if we butchered it. Too bad, Nolan. I believe you caught up with him.
I have indeed. So Garrett Maines, well, as I'm believing it's Garrett Maines, well, a good win for you tonight in that number 18 Corvette. But, well, as you probably very well know, it almost wasn't. You were looking very solid with an 4-second lead there. And then, unfortunately, when we came back to you, you were off the track and actually were side by side with it at one point. What in the world happened on that last lap?
Honestly, it was going on the whole race. I just hadn't had it happen in that bad of a place. My computer was freezing up, like from the green flags drop on the first lap, coming through a lot of the wide open corners. I'd lose force feedback, the screen would just freeze where it is, and I'd have to hold the wheel exactly where it was, or when it came back, I'd be going the other direction. And it just, that one time, it was in the braking zone, I was going over the bumps, and I couldn't shift because it was freezing like sporadically. So every time I'd shift, it wasn't hitting it. I would just went straight off the track. Like I couldn't do anything. And it was long durations of like freezing. So I thought it was like out of my hands. When I saw Chris pass me, I thought that was the Corvette leader for a second. I'm like, oh, no way. But we got really lucky. Got back on the track just in time to be able to, you know, battle it out side by side and still come home with the win. But I really thought that it's been ripped away from me right there.
I mean, talk about a massive tech issue then, almost shades of Michael Schumacher when he got stuck in 5th gear and had to run the entire race stuck in, well, just that 5th gear, except for you. You had to race not even knowing where the heck you were going. You may as well have been running half the race blindfolded. So I think that makes your win even more special tonight, considering all that. Is that safe to say?
Oh yeah, for sure. That was the most stressful race I've done in a long time. Sebring with I don't know, half of your screen working pretty. It was brutal.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we look forward to doing it with you again next week, Tuesday.
Yeah, I hope I can make it. I got the Road to Pro race. It's going to be coming up right before this, so hopefully I'll be able to get some practice time in and just have something ready for this race. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. It's going to be right the same time.
Excellent. Well, if you don't make it, we hope you do. We don't want to miss you. If not, man, good luck. You're obviously got huge talent and huge future in racing, and all the best from us, everyone at RRI.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I gotta thank AJ over at ECC Motorsports for the invite, and all the guys over at Legacy that make the sim racing on here just so much fun for me, and they help me out with the Pro Series and all that. The amount of time that they put in helping me, it's just insane. Gotta thank the guys over at Richmond Raceway, Esports, Butt Kicker, Andy DeLay, Bobby Dale, all those guys for all their support, and hopefully we'll be back next week.
And well, real quick then, before we let you go, do you have anybody else you'd like to shout out for us here tonight?
I think I covered it.
All right, excellent then. Well, that's your overall race winner, and winner in the TA1 class tonight, Garrett Maines, coming home after a very stressful 20 minutes, as we've just found out.
Yes, sir.
And with that, looks like that's everybody that's going to, well, be joining us here tonight. So, well, what a race tonight, Charles. That definitely couldn't have asked for, well, a better intensity for that finish.
That definitely was a good race. And of course, to sign us off here before we officially leave, we want to thank everybody for tuning in here tonight to not a super late broadcast, but a little late. We thank everybody, as always, for tuning in. But of course, on behalf of myself, Charles Wooten, Nolan Ripple, the league, thanks for hanging out with us. We will see you at the next race. And a quick, before we do sign off, make sure you tune in tomorrow for World of Thunder Northwest Truck Series on Thursday, and then it gets crazy after that for the weekend. But again, tune in tomorrow for World of Thunder. We have some great racing there. And again, on behalf of everybody involved here tonight, we wish you the best and stay safe during these crazy times.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSRTV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSRTV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.